Hey everyone, Mac is back, and I'm going to continue with the Commander, not the Commander series, but the Commanders in reference to the mono lines and maybe even some dual lines as well, talking about which commanders to use and which commanders that you probably don't want to use. So let's get to it. So here we are in the military grounds again, and we're going to go through some cavalry this time. And in reference to cavalry, we're always looking for the first thing, like I said before, is your awakening and who you have 4-star. So as a cavalry mono line, if you're just trying to plunder somebody, or they have infantry front line, or for the most part rebel camps are probably one of the biggest ones where you do the mono lines. Or if you're a free-to-play player and you're just stacking up. I saw a medium, actually he might have been more than a medium spender, might have been a high spender, and all he had was cavalry. That's all his stats. They went straight into cavalry. So if you had a front line of spear, you could actually do decent against him. The problem with him was the problem that we had against him was that he had a lot of those tier 1s up front that obviously they melted away, but that gave him enough time for his tier 4 that was just so overpowering to just destroy us. So that is just something to consider as well, that you don't have to go even if you're spending money on the game, you don't have to go with a dual line. It is obviously safer and a better bet, but but depending on who you're running into. But for defense or something like that, if you get rallied, I mean, just having one line actually does pretty decent. But looking at this, obviously if you have Leila, you're going to put her in there for 4 stars. And if you don't have her for 4 stars, she still does cav defense and health, so she still does really well for that front line. Looking over here, she's giving you that 21,000 army size as well. If you have Robb 3-star, I would say you put him in there. And even if you have him gold, I think you put him in there too, because of the cav defense and the cav health. So that's really good. Then you're looking down a little bit further, and Kevin's pretty good because he gives total health and total attack, but they're just so low, and he's not awakened, so he's probably not a good one to put in there. I definitely wouldn't. I would definitely consider somebody else. I mean, you just look at Merrel, and he's got 30% health and 30% attack, so that's easily better than you're going to have with Kevin. So we'll put him in there just to start. We may have to switch it out, but we'll go through it. Mengo does defense, 30% defense and attack. That's pretty good as well. Russell just does 30% attack, so we'll skip him. Gene does 30% defense, so no. Winton, he does 30% attack, and then he has a few other there, some reductions, and which are pretty decent. Now, if you have Enzo, he's definitely going to be in there if you have him gold. Now, if you have him, if you have him 3 stars, then for sure he'll be in there. But just having him gold will be there because he's doing 40% across the board on the cav stats, so that's really, really good. If you have Selma gold, she does. She's doing the cav attack of 40% plus the help for the front. The total health at 15%, so that's really good too. If I had to go between a gold Selma that's not awakened and a Mengo who is at gold as well, he's looking at 30% attack and 30% defense, where she's looking at 40% attack and 15% health, and then I'm definitely going to be taking the Selma at that point. So I would take him out. I'd put her in if she was gold. Now, if you have her awakened to 3 stars, then definitely going to put her in there. Now, you look at her, I only have her at level 8, so that's something to consider as well, because was Russell at level 8 as well, so the amount of troops she brings to the, with her are only 11,000, so her army size isn't increased. So you have to look at that too. It's always a good consideration for that. So that would be something to look at. And then the other ones down here below, obviously you're a massive spender if you have the Night King. He does get more troops. Having him awakened, he'll get 15,000 troops. Now the other two here, Raymond doesn't give you anything, so you don't have to worry about that. And Laena actually does pretty well also. So she was one. She's similar to Enzo, but she only does 30% instead of the 40%. So that would be someone to consider. If you had her gold, then that's when Merrel probably goes out with his. So you take her. So if these are all gold, this would probably be your lineup right here. The other one to consider would be going back, because you always have to go back to Julien, because Julien has that 70% extra attack. And if you're looking at that, say he's 70%, and then you look at Robb, who he has that frontline health and defense, and then he has a little bit of attack on his passives. So that's something to consider. I mean, if you think you have enough stats, elsewhere, say you have enough, maybe you use the health badges or your equipment that you're using on your lord is actually enough to give you enough defense and health, and then you've done your talents the right way to be able to get enough defense and health in there as well, then I would consider taking him out, putting him in there like that, and that would be a decent lineup as well. You're looking at Leila, and you're also trying to think of, how many female commanders can I get in there? Because those female ones will actually be decent too. So if you go back here and you think of Annie, because Annie's female, and you're thinking about the total attack and total defense, so she's got about right around that, I think it's like 40-ish%, 40-some percent, 43% around there, I think 44% total health and total attack and total defense. Is that worse? Is that good to put her in there instead of Julien? Because it's going to be, they're both not going to be countered. They're probably going into infantry, so they're going to be countered, so it really won't matter about that too much. Getting her ability off a couple more times, her skill off in battle, kind of doesn't help you too much. But that would be something, and I don't think you're losing. I don't think there's a wrong answer with either one of those. Now, if you had one of them 4 stars, obviously take the one that has 4 stars. They're both giving, in my example here, they're both giving you 21,000 troops, so that's fantastic as well. But just looking at those, this is kind of the lineup that I would be looking at. And like I said, maybe I'd end up subbing Julien, but if Leila gets her, procs off her 4-star ability, if you have that, that's really, really good. And if you don't have Leila 4-star and you're trying to do it, I would push for that, because I think that's a very good idea. So I hope this gives you an idea of that. And then looking at maybe a potential back lineup, like say if you go like a Cav Spear. If you go like a Cav Spear, then you're definitely taking Annie out and you're putting Julien back in. And the reason you're going to be doing that is because now you're looking at 70% attack on both of those Spear and Cav, where you're only looking at 40% on both of them here. So I think he's a little bit better of an upgrade there too. Now, I'm not saying it's a permanent. You may want to go back in this way just because it's a female and you get that commander damage again. So plus you get Selma too. If you had Selma at 4 stars and using her ability, because her ability is a female as well, and that's very, very good in unison with Leila. They mesh very well. So if you get them both 4-star, they're going to be in almost every lineup that you have, just because the amount of damage they'll do at the very beginning of the battle. So that would be something to consider. Now, if you're going for a Cav infantry front or formation, then you kind of go back to your infantry and you kind of think like, well, who in here does a lot of that? You're only looking for damage when you're talking about that. So like Latz is probably really good because she does 64 damage plus her passive. So you're looking at like I think an 80 or 90% damage with her at 3 stars, so that's really good as well. And then if you had somebody at 4-star for their ability, you might be considering that too. But just looking here right now, you're going to be doing that. And if you had Ray, you can see her. If I had her completely gold, then you're looking at a 40% and Cav attack. So there's 40% plus the health. So that means something to consider. But when they awaken her, it might be even better. So I hope this gives you a little better idea of what to think about, what to consider. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you. Until next time, Mac out.